Nou die Olimpiese spele is om die draai. Dit is vandag ons voorreg met 'n Olimpiese gimnas van Suid-Afrika te gesels. Ja, Caitlin Rooskrantz sluit vanoggend by ons aan. Good morning, Caitlin. What an honor it is to speak to you this morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
Caitlin, we want to get to know you slightly better. So where did this love for gymnastics start for you?
So I started gymnastics when I was 6 years old, and it wasn't really my choice at the time. Apparently, according to my parents, I was a very busy kid, a bit of a menace, could not sit still, and was just everywhere all the time. And they actually then ended up putting me in gymnastics at 6 by recommendation of their friends, just for me to kind of burn energy, I think, in a more productive way. And I started at 6, and before I knew it, I'd completely fallen in love with what the sport was and had really envisioned a future for myself there and saw so much potential that I wanted to unlock, and the rest is history, I guess.
I love that you said it wasn't your choice, but you fell in love with it, because I think very often when we think about sports stars is that they start the sport at a very young age, and it's so much pressure very often from parents that actually want them to do it. And then sometimes the kid don't necessarily have the same love, but they still go through the paces and perhaps lose interest at a later stage. But you clearly did not lose any interest in it, and you just kept going. Did you ever feel that pressure from outside, or was it really you going, I want to do this, this is what I want to do as a career?
It was definitely mainly myself. I remember growing up, my mom was really one of the moms that she rarely ever put pressure on me. I think I've always been the type of child and person that no matter what I was doing, whether it was like schoolwork or at gym, if I had set my heart on something, it was going to take an army to stop me from getting there. And a lot of the time, my mom actually had to, while I was growing up, remind me to breathe and slow down, because I think I was the person that I wanted to get there. I wanted to keep going. And my mom had to tell me sometimes, it's okay. It's okay to relax. It's okay to breathe. You'll get there, So she is really definitely my biggest support system. But I think it was all me. Have always been a go-getter.
Caitlin, you were only the second South African gymnast to win a medal at the Commonwealth Games in the past 2022 Birmingham Games on the uneven bars. Is the uneven bars your favorite item, or are you allowed to say which one is?
So, basically bars is my favorite. It's my best event. I don't know if it became my favorite because it was my best event. I'm going to go with that. But I've had quite a lot of success on that apparatus over the last few years, especially. And really hoping to keep that going.
How many hours a day do you actually train? And is your training more, actually on a technique on each event, an item? Is it gym work? Is it fitness? How much does what you eat play a role? What does your general preparation look like before you go into a competition, like something like the Olympics?
It definitely, it encompasses a lot. I think, for people who are not athletes, I think all they think is, for the most part, that we obviously train a lot. And that is, where you draw the line. But there's a lot of different aspects to it. It's obviously the training in the gym. So I'm in the gym a day, about 5 hours. That is my training session for a day, depending morning or afternoon. And so a week that's Monday through to Saturday, by the way. And so basically a week we're pushing about 25 to 30 hours, and that's just training. So that's excluding when we will have personal training. So that's more body weight training and weight training, as well as all your other recovery aspects. So I have to go to the physio twice a week. I have sports massage twice a week. I have to do rapid recovery machines. I have to get in an ice bath. So there's many different aspects to, obviously, what we bring to the table, I think, when we get to the Olympic Games and all the preparation that goes into that. And it's a lot, but
Caitlin, I think whether you like it or not, you are a role model for so many South African youngsters trying their hand at gymnastics. Isn't that quite a burden to carry? How do you feel about that?
I don't like to look at it as a burden. I think personally for me, it's all about representation. And for me being that person that, that person to all those little gymnasts that we didn't, in our generation, we didn't have that much of. Growing up, I had this dream to go to the Olympics that I did not know if it was really possible. It was really one of those to me, it was like a bit of a far-fetched dream. Wasn't sure, like, am I going to get there? I'm going to keep working and see like what happens. But because we also really never saw any one of our people make it there. So, for me to have now broken that barrier and to be that, I think, beacon of hope to all the little young girls. For me, I don't see it as a burden. I'm grateful to be that inspiration to all the upcoming gymnasts and to show them that it really is possible. It is possible for that little girl from a small town. It is possible for someone who grew up with a single mom. And it is possible for people who are struggling financially, as long as you can keep working, keep at it, and, your hard work will definitely be rewarded.
Wow, that's wonderful. Can I just tell you, I've got a newfound respect for gymnasts because Pierre and I visited... we had some events that we did and I couldn't even get up on the balancing bar, like stand up. I actually had to lean on his shoulder just to stand on it because I was like, wow. So I really do have a great found respect for any gymnast and the work that you guys do. It is incredible. Now, you have been to Olympic Games before, but it was during COVID. And so the Paris Olympics is almost like the full one that you get to experience everything. What are you looking forward to the most?
Oh, I think it's so difficult to really point out one thing specifically, but I think the biggest thing would definitely be the fact that it's going to be a full Olympic experience. Obviously, Tokyo was in COVID and there was just so much that I think was taken away. We weren't allowed a crowd. There weren't any spectators, all the testing. We weren't also really allowed to socialize that much in the village, which is like one of the best parts, I think, about getting to something like an Olympic Games is socializing among such greatness in the athletes' village. So I think just knowing that I'm going to have that full experience. And the biggest thing for me is that my family is also coming.
Oh,
they really wanted to come in Tokyo, but obviously because of those spectators and everything, left it. So my family's coming, my mom is coming, which is really, really special. And just knowing, I think, that I'm going to have, my bigger support system and a piece of home with me that side is something really, really special.
I love how excited you are, and we are so excited with you, and we can't wait to see you. I do want to ask just one last question, and it's how do you deal with the mental pressure going into a competition? Is it something that you guys have? Do you have a technique that how you deal with it? Do you block out the, crowd sitting there? Do you actually use their energy to feed into you performing? How do you deal with the mental aspect of competition?
I think personally, it's different for each person depending on what works the best for them. But I think for me, over the years, I've kind of figured out, at the beginning, I used to be very intimidated by like really big crowds because coming from South Africa, a sport like gymnastics is not big, and really when we go to our big competitions inland, they are like, barely a crowd. So we kind of got used to competing under those conditions. And then we would go overseas and it was like the total opposite. You're basically competing in a stadium with a filled arena, and it is very nerve-wracking. But I think over the years, I kind of got used to it. For me, I learned how to, I want to almost say, use it to my advantage. I kind of would always tell myself that, that is, as much as it's pretty daunting, because, it's you alone up there on that beam doing that routine with all these people watching you, it is also your moment. You've trained all those years, all those hours for that minute and a half that you need to show your routine. And you need to take up that moment and you need to own it, So that's always what I tell myself, to take up the space, to take up the moment, to own the moment. And I think over the years, I just started to the crowd started to grow on me. And I started to see that every time there was a bigger crowd, it seemed that I had a better performance. So it makes me excited going into Paris because I believe that the big crowd will, do me well.
Caitlin, which dates are you performing on?
My qualification date is on the 28th of July. Yeah, Sunday.
Sunday. Caitlin, we cannot wait. Just like the whole of South Africa, of course, supported the Springboks and still do, and supports the cricket, we are also supporting our whole Olympics team and you. We cannot wait to see you in action on the 28th of July. Best of luck. We're thinking about you. We're sure you're going to enjoy the Olympics and having your family there. And thank you so much for taking time and speaking to us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Dit is natuurlik Caitlin Rooskrantz. Sy is ons Olimpiese gimnas 28 Julie. Skakel jou TV aan en ondersteun haar. Bly gerus ingeskakel, net hierna gaan ons voort.